It's Algebra 2, Lesson 5.7. We're graphing and solving quadratic inequalities. Graphing them in two variables, and then we're solving them in one variable, beginning on page 299 in the textbooks. Two definitions to start. First one is a quadratic inequality in two variables. One that has both y and x. Notice two variables, y and x. Be it less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. The rest of them the same. Notice it says ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're talking about standard form with one of the symbols less than or greater than or equal to for either one of those. But again, two variables, both x and y. When it is in one variable, notice there's only one. There's no y value. It's just x. And then on the other side, it's 0. So that's making it equal to 0. But again, same thing, since it's an inequality, less than or greater than or one of those with or equal to attached to it. So one variable versus two variables, y and x for two, just x for one variable. As far as graphing quadratic inequality in two variables, what you're going to do is you're going to graph this just like an equation, just like ax squared plus bx plus c, just like y is equal to that. But since it's an inequality, it's either going to be a solid line or a dashed line, and you're going to shade inside the parabola or outside the parabola. So step one is to draw the parabola as if it were y is equal to that. Again, if it is less than or greater than, it's going to be a dashed line. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's going to be a solid line. That acts just like linear equations, just as if they were straight, except you're going to have a curved line instead of a straight one. Step number two is to choose a point inside the parabola. This is not a hard rule. See how it says choose a point inside the parabola? It really doesn't matter. Choose a point that is not on the line. And remember, the easiest point to choose is always 0, 0. Choose one that is not on the line. That's the only one you can't choose, is one that actually falls on the graph itself, because then you can't tell if it's true or false. You can't tell, or which, you can see if it's true or false, you can't tell which one it's on, inside or outside. Step number three, if the point in step two is a solution, shade the inside. If it is not a solution, shade the outside. Again, we can reword that to say if the point you chose was true, shade towards that point. If it was false, shade opposite that point. Meaning if 0, 0, for example, is inside the parabola and is true, you shade inside. If 0, 0 is inside the parabola and is false, you shade outside, and vice versa to both of those statements. And then I thought it was 4 steps, excuse me. And that's all there is to graphing quadratic inequalities. Let's take a look at one. It says graph y is less than or equal to negative x squared plus x plus 5. Just like an equation, the first thing you want to do is determine, is this going to open up or down? Which way is it going, up or down? It's negative. This value right here is negative, means it's going to open down. Okay, so before we do anything else, determine that it's going to open down. All right, from there, you need to find what your x-intercept is. Remember, x is negative b over 2a. You need to memorize that, negative b over 2a. So negative b is 1, negative 1, over 2 times a's value is negative 1. So notice it's a negative over a negative, which is going to be a positive 1/2. So x's value is positive 1/2. So your axis of symmetry, if that was 1, then this is 1/2. So your axis of symmetry is going to run through a vertical line at 1/2. Try to draw it a little straighter than what I just did. That's your axis of symmetry. From your axis of symmetry, you have to find your y value to make the vertex. Remember, it's going to open down. So it's going to be the top of the picture. So in order to find your y value, you're going to plug in this value we just got, x's value, which was positive 1/2. So in place of the equation, we're going to plug in 1/2. So right here, y is equal to, I know it doesn't say equal to, it says less than or equal to, but we're going to graph it as if it says or equal to. Y is equal to negative 1/2 squared. That's negative, and then it's 1/2 squared plus 1/2 plus 5. Negative 1/2 squared, you got to square 1/2 first. 1/2 squared is 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. So 1/4, and then the negative comes down in front of it to make it negative 1/4. Plus 1/2 plus 5. So we have, let's do easy math here. What is 5 plus 1/2? It's 5 1/2. And what is 5 1/2 minus 1/4? 5 1/4. So at 5 1/4 is going to be the top of our picture. So at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if this is half, then 1/4 is about right there, right above that line. So that's our vertex right there. 1/2, 5 1/4. From there, we got to slide 1 unit to the left or 1 unit to the right. Again, you could use 0, 0, or you could use 1, 1, or 0 or 1, I should say, not 0, 0, 0 or 1. So again, it is easier for most of us to multiply by 0. Even though 1 is an easy number to multiply by, it's easy to multiply by 0. So if we plug in this x value 0, it'll say y is equal to negative 0 squared plus 0 plus 5. Y's value then, when you put all of that together, is 5. So when x is 0, y is 5. So that'll be right there. And again, your axis of symmetry makes it be the exact same on the other side. Then we got to slide one more time. Do we want to slide and use negative 1? Or do we want to slide and use positive 2? Again, that's about what and what for most people. I think it's easier to use x's value as negative 1. So when you plug it in, y equals negative 1 squared plus a negative 1 plus 5. Negative 1 squared is 1, and this comes down negative 1 minus 1 plus 5. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 5, y's value then is 3. So when x is negative 1, y is 3. And again, it is mirrored the same on this side. So now, if this were just a parabola, we can trace through these points here, and our graph would be complete. But it is not just a parabola. Today we are talking about inequalities. So since it says or equal to, we will go ahead and draw those solid lines through those 2 points. Solid lines. The second part of inequalities is we have to shade everything inside the parabola or everything outside the parabola. This is the easier part for most people. Pick a value. 0, 0 is not on the graph. So plug in 0, 0. So in place of y, 0 is less than or equal to negative in place of x, 0 squared, plus 0 in place of x, plus 5. So 0 squared is 0. Negative 0, there's no such thing, plus 0. The right side is simply going to say 5. The left side is going to say 0. You have to check, is this a true statement? Is 0 less than or equal to 5? So since it is true, you're going to shade everything. Since it is a solution, you're going to shade everything towards 0, 0, or everything inside of the parabola.